distinguished dignitaries sitting on front rows, and august gathering all over. First of all, I thank Indian Geography Congress, NAGI, for inviting me to deliver Professor Gopal lecture. You know more than what I do about Gopal Krishan. Only called as GK, with contribution to the field of geography. In all his writings, he endeavored to respond to evolving questions of relevance in the field, always impressing policymakers, planners, and administrators with the idea that geography has an important and indispensable role. His interests and focus lay in the development studies, largely population and urbanization, and later on in administration and public policy. Now, what was in his mind was, why should one read his writings? This was a question perpetually raised to himself before writing anything. His writings address various disciplinary and cross-disciplinary constituencies. These are distinguished by clarity and thought, coherent organization of subject matter, and effective communication. He felt that while the plans at national and sectoral levels could be best done by the economists in social perspective, the integrated plans at district and grassroots level in spatial perspective is rightfully the domain of geographers. The peculiar thoughts that struck his mind at a later stage was geography of happiness. Normally a person would wonder as to what would this mean, geography of happiness. Professor G.K. observed that sustained happiness is contingent on an individual's adaptability to their geographic location and aesthetic arrangement of their life's elements. He also concluded by saying, envy is the enemy of happiness. Professor G.K.'s persona was blended with humility, benevolence, compassion, a sense of purpose, gratitude, and a connection of something greater than his own. He remained focused on anything he did. As far as academic and professional excellence at higher levels, as already said, all of you are more acquainted than what I may have to narrate. To count a few, besides being Professor Emeritus at the Department of Geography, Punjab University, Chandigarh, his teaching and research assignment in leading universities in the US, UK, Germany, Netherlands, Austria, and Hungary were a great learning for him in both theory and practice. A teaching assignment at the University of Ace, Hungary was most rewarding as the university conferred on him the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa in 1996. I would, however, like to share with you some of his old memories of his school days. GK was a brilliant student right from the level of primary education. Here I may quote an instance which my father had told me. In those days, inspector of schools during visits used to put pupils on oral tests, and the question asked was, break a stone of 40 sales, in those days the mount and sale, into 4 pieces, so as to measure anything between 1 and 40. Now you may correlate it with the kilograms. A stone of 40 kg breaking it into 4 pieces, so that you can weigh 1 kg, you can weigh anything between 1 and 40 kg. GK, even at that stage, was able to reply. He was sharp and analytical. And you know the answer is 1, 3, 9 and 27. You can test at your levels. If you break a stone of 40 kg into 4 pieces of this weight, you can measure anything in between 1 and 40. Another instance, while in at school at early age, there was a declamation contest, and the topic was the glory that is India. He was awarded first prize by Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, Indian diplomat and politician. GK had his schooling at DAV High School at Shimla. In 1956, he had topped the matriculation examination in the erstwhile state of Punjab, which now includes Punjab, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh. At a later stage of his life, in recognition of his contribution in the field of geography, the Indian Geographic Congress, NAGI, honored him with the Gold Vachaspati Award in 2016, and then with the most prestigious award, Gold Ratna, in 2019. And this picture was very dear to him. My long association with census organization was a great learning for me, and imbibed in me the thought of penning down a book on planning aspect, which dwells on its conceptual frame. Professor G.K. inspired me, guided me to accomplish this task. The book, entitled Operation Census in India, a Futuristic Perspective, has been published by Routledge, Taylor and Census Group. It will be in the market after 2 days. Hard copy is already there on the Amazon. The genesis of this book is rooted in the realization that an understanding of basic terms used and any definitional change or modification effected for data collection is crucial for any analysis. Srimati Seema Jain, IAS, who is presently the Secretary to Government of India, was Director of Census Operation Punjab for 2011 census, is the co-author of this book. When the book was accepted for publication, Professor G.K. was very excited, more excited even than me, and would often talk about its release. And from the core of my heart, I would say, I know about one person, and that is Professor G.K. at this stage, and I have no idea about any other person. It is a mere coincidence that I am here to deliver Professor G.K.'s memorial lecture, and the timing coincides with the release of the book by Routledge today. Although I am missing his physical presence, his blessings are with me. I bow my head before him, and on my own part, I wish to dedicate this book to him. Undoubtedly, Professor G.K.'s stature was tall, and I am too small, but I am proud of being his younger brother and student too. Like many others, Professor G.K. will always remain my mentor, although I know I don't fit into his shoe, but would certainly wish to walk on his footprints. Now I proceed on my PowerPoint presentation. This data is linked with the census data. Now, almost half of the SDG indicators are related to population. Now, data is not limited to figures alone. An understanding of basics of data is critical for accurate and reliable analysis. Because all of you use data, but what has gone into the data for collection of that is very important to understand for more accurate analysis. And today, I shall briefly deliberate on these three key sources of population data: census, population census, civil registration system, and sample registration system. Now, population census is a decadal exercise. Data becomes available after 10 years. Complete CRS is not available. It is not yet complete. If CRS, civil registration system data is complete, you can derive data for any area for any period, but it is not yet complete. So then, the government of India came up with this idea of sample registration system. This gives you annual results on estimated number of births, deaths, IMR and all that, and vital statistics. It gives on that. Now, before any census, data user conferences are held. Few changes proposed by the stakeholders at every census are taken into account. Therefore, it is important to keep a track of changes or modifications which have been effected for clear understanding of the data. Now, coming to an illustration, let us see how this happens. Talk me of concept of birth, economic activity defined in census. Very important. Participation in any economically productive activity, whether it is with compensation, without compensation, whether it is with wages or no profit. Participation may be physical or mental, not precisely that everybody has to work himself. Includes effective supervision and direction of work also. And now, in 2001 census, one addition made was persons engaged in rearing of animals and production of milk for their own use. They were also taken as workers. Now, how it impacts the data, that is the point. Punjab had a very low female participation rate. A progressive state with such a low female participation rate in 1981 and 91, and even before that also. And when I am saying this, 6.2 or 4.4, it is male workers plus marginal workers both. It is including both. Now, it rose to 19.1% in 2011. And in 2001, it rose to 19.1. So 4 times increase. What miracle happened? partly when we attribute it to the definition change, that rearing of cattle, production of milk even for your own consumption, and persons engaged in that. And in Punjab, almost every second house has a buffalo, keep for their own use. Persons engaged in that activity becomes work. So this, if not known, somebody will be surprised. What happened? How could this be? So this is just a figure that I'm skipping over that. Idea was to give the detail of these activities. Now what explained the low work participation rate of women in previous censuses? Was it due to non-recognition of the work done by the woman? Was it due to the male dominance, where females' contribution to work is considered as lowering their status? Was it due to the neglect of the part of the enumerator in understanding the concept? And understanding the concept used in data collection is therefore very critical and very important for any data analysis. Here I may quote one instance with you. My milkman in those days, once I asked him, how many buffaloes you are keeping? He said 10. How many workers you have? He said none. I cannot afford it. Your wife helps you? No. Then how do you manage? You take out milk, you take cattle care, you bring the milk and distribute. So, no, that part my wife takes care. You say you are not, she is not working. Is this the work? So that was the concept. Now, census aims to enumerate everyone, catch everyone but once. Now so many people are moving every day. Everybody will be surprised how census people can enumerate everyone when so many people are always on move. Some may have gone out of their own station, some may have gone even out of their own country also. And how to do that? We have a system here. System to enumerate. It is 20 days enumeration period. Person may be there all those 20 days. Person may be there for part of that period. Person may not be there, but likely to come by the last day of that enumeration period. All that. Then the last point comes, visitors. You have a guest from outside. And throughout the census period, that visitor is a Jew. We have to enumerate him. He will not be enumerated at his own usual residence. He will enumerate it where he is found during the enumeration period. Now, coming to this, suppose you have gone out of country during census enumeration period, you will not be enumerated technically. On the other hand, a foreigner who is in India during the entire census enumeration period is eligible to be counted in India. So that is, all these are issues which need to be understood properly. And houseless, no fixed place, they may keep on moving from one to other place. That is why they are enumerated at a fixed time on the night of last day of enumeration all over, because at one point of time a person can be only at one place. You talk of urbanization. Statutory towns, I don't need to explain. They have some municipal act, all that. Census towns are designed by census, for census purposes. Now these are the criteria. Now, census towns in 2011 constituted nearly 14% of the total urban population of the country. Urban growth during 2001 and 11, nearly 31% was attributed to census towns. And interestingly, although we say that demographic criteria, minimum population of 5,000 is one. But after the census was find quite a number of villages, quite a number of census towns have no 5,000 population, much less than that. In 2011, nearly 360 odd census towns had a population of less than 5,000. On the other hand, you have census towns as big as cities, a population of more than 1 lakh. Even Greater Noida in UP had a population of over 6 lakhs in 2011, and that was a census town. And census towns' demographic features are minimum population of 5,000, 75% or more of our male working force in non-agricultural sector, and a density of more than 400 persons per square kilometer. So these are something very interesting. And if you look at the data, in 2011, census towns and statutory towns both were at par with each other, more or less. Census towns were about 3,800 and statutory towns were a little over 4,000. So there's a big parity between the two. And again, census towns, that is for their population treated as urban. Now coming to villages. So many villages, over 6 lakhs. Villages very small, medium sized, big sized, like that. And then villages are uninhabited also. Means zero population. As many as 43,000 odd villages had zero population in 2011 census. Now the question arises, how best such land can be used? It may not be necessarily uncultivated. Its land may belong to be cultivated by agriculturists. Now, critical question that arises is how such an extensive land can be tapped for. The need is to study their location, causation, and all that. That is the need to study this thing. Coming to amenities data, when I say premises, house and premises are two different things. Premises may be adjoining land with the multi-story flats also. This was the status in 2011 about drinking water, about source of drinking water. And interestingly, when I say 35.8% had available near the premises. When I say premises, we define it. What do we mean by it? In urban areas we say up to 100 meters. And for rural areas we say up to 500 meters. And then beyond 500 meters also, you have nearly 18% of the figure. So we have to target SDG goals also by 2030. And still you see, one third of this source is hand pump. Coming to toilet facility, same way. Look at the portion. More than 53.3% didn't have toilet within premises. That is the figure. Of course, things must have improved now a lot. But these are the latest available data. Civil registration, as I said, if it is complete, the best source of data. You can work out for any period of time, for any area. But problem is, it is not yet fully complete. Now, there are the reporting units, and then further you have the registration units, even also level of registration. What is the level of registration? Here you see, Number of estimated events for a year is equal to mid-year population based on SRS data. So this figure is available in a published form. When you read that book on population projections, it is available also. Look at this table. This gives you number of registered births. Now look at the trend immediately, 2000 to 2010, from 12 million to 21 million. Otherwise from 90 to 2000 and 2010 to 20, variation is not that. So before analyzing this data, the scholars need to ascertain what happened during 10 and 2000 and 2010. And the answer is, in 2004, there was a special campaign for this, birth registration, which resulted into this huge increase during 2010 and 2010. And if you don't know the reason, you will immediately say, "Itna percent more growth ho gaya." This is what is being said now. Sample registration, since CRS is not very complete, we have this data. Sample registration, it represents nearly 1% of the population sample size. Provides birth rate, death rate, IMR at state level. Then also provides on measures of fertility and mortality. And there are other reports also, maternal mortality, causes of death statistics, life tables, and statistical reports are published annually. After every census, sample units get changed. It is not that the same continue. This is how after every census change occurs in selection of sample units. Now, 2021 report, 19.5 per thousand is the birth rate. Now you can easily calculate with this 19.5 per thousand population, you can calculate how many children are born annually. It's a simple calculation, and if you work out, something around 27 million children are born annually. This I am skipping, not much to say, it's short due to short of time. This again, as we say, fertility decreases with the increase in educational level, and this substantiates that part. This again, I am skipping how many deliveries are taking place, but interestingly, still 7.8% are being attended by untrained. I'm getting okay, fine. Still 7.8% by untrained dies. Then sex ratio at birth, CTR 6, and if you work out in absolute number how many deaths take place, it comes to something around nearly 80 lakhs. Right? Out of the total deaths, 9.1% belong to infants. But we should not limit ourselves to infants only. I am going to further on this slide. Latest available data says 28 infants die after every 1,000 live births. This is IMR, infants, right? Annually. Now, please remember this figure 28. What we need to see is IMR is 28, and out of them, 20 are neonatal. Those children die within 29 days. And now remember this figure 20. Out of this 20, 15 died in early neonatal stage, that is within 7 days. So when we talk of IMR, we need to look into first the early neonatal and then the neonatal. Under high mortality, they said, 1/10 of the total deaths are left. So, these are the figures for MCCD. Diseases are classified as per the International Classification of Diseases. And 32% cause of death is circulatory system. Summing up, any data analysis should not be limited to spatial disparities based on figures alone. An understanding of conceptual frame or methodology involved in collection of data is critical for ensuring accurate and more acceptable analysis. Therefore, important to keep a track of changes or modifications taking place. Thanks, one and all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to congratulate and thank the four distinguished speakers, Professor Atikur Rahman, Professor Nathavat, Professor Jayabhai, and Professor Madhav Shyam for their scholarly speech in the memory of those distinguished scholars who are really no more, and we always aspire them to have that they would have been a little more. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.